Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a long time since I've done one of these, and I know I've said that before, but here we are. To those of you who are new, I actually used to be a video game reviewer a long time before I was ever a video game streamer. So here we are today doing another review, and today's review is on Joe and Mac 2, Lost in the Tropics.
Launch title.
Joe and Mac 2 was published by Data East. It was the highly anticipated sequel to the game, Joe and Mac. Original, right? Joe and Mac centers around two cavemen and their adventures. Joe and Mac 2 was released in April of 1994. At least that's the date for North America. Joe and Mac's story is a very simplistic one. Basically, an evil caveman named Gork breaks into the leader's hut in Joe and Mac's village and steals their magical crown. It's up to Joe and Mac to go off on an adventure into the world and find out where Gork has taken that magical crown. The way I came across this game is a pretty common story, as it is for most gamers my age. I was only able to get about one game a year. It's not like it is now. Back then, you only got one game maybe for Christmas or maybe for your birthday if you were lucky. But most of the time, you were exposed to new games by going to video game stores and renting them. Well, I used to go to a mom and pop shop that my dad used to take me to every weekend, and every weekend we were allowed to rent one game. More often than not, we rented Joe and Mac 2. My brother and I used to spend hours and hours playing this game. We rented it on a regular basis. I think that the main draw was the co-op action. This game is intended to be played in co-op more so than single player. At least that's my opinion, seeing as it's called Joe and Mac. The game is a pretty basic platformer. You press B to jump and Y to attack. If you happen to find food, such as chicken or berries, you press down in order to eat them. You spend most of your adventure doing what you would always do in a platformer, going left to right and fighting baddies along the way. Joe and Mac 2 holds a very special place in my heart. When I was a kid, my grandmother used to send me video cassettes of the Flintstones. Yes, video cassettes. That's how old I am. So my grandmother used to send me these tapes, and that made me grow a fondness for cavemen. So when I found out that there was a game based on cavemen where you used clubs to attack dinosaurs, I was in heaven. Not to mention, the graphics were beautiful. It really made you feel like you were in a caveman cartoon, a dream come true for child retro Louie. The game has a variety of bad guys for you to face off against. You fight off against things like cavemen, archers, pterodons, prehistoric squid-looking things, and many more animals. Along with the average baddies, each level is topped off with a boss fight. The boss fights are something that really stuck out to me growing up. I loved how each boss fight starts with a quick animation, and it kind of adds to the life of the game. Another cool detail is each boss fight is made up of two stages. The first stage gives you a teaser as to the boss you're about to face, and the second phase is when you finally take on that boss. I love the boss fights in this game. They build tension by giving you a sneak peek of what the boss is going to look like before you actually fight him. And tension is really important for a game, to keep you active and to keep you involved in what's happening. And this game really hits the nail on its head. You can't talk about the levels without mentioning the music though. This game is a hidden gem when it comes to music. This music always got me in the right mood when it came to the situation that I found myself in. During the main level, the music felt like I was on an adventure, and it suited the theme of the level perfectly. But when I was in a boss fight, the music really amped me up, made me feel like I was in a life or death struggle. This game really knocks it out of the park when it comes to the music. Level progression is really cool in this game. All levels are broken into 3 parts, giving you a variety of gameplay styles along the way. Some parts you have to fight your way through bad guys. Other parts you have to use your platforming skills to get through. And you may even find yourself in an auto-scrolling section. This ensures that you never get bored of the game. Something that I would have preferred that they would have taken a little more time with was the Overworld Map. I think it's really cool that you get to choose where you're going to go, and that you actually get to choose in what order you play the levels. That's a really nice idea, because that way you're not stuck playing the same levels in the same order every single time. The problem is that it feels like the Overworld was just a last-second add-on. The characters seem to just jitter around as they move. The world looks very bland and just thrown together without any real thought to the layout. It was a cool upgrade to the first game, but definitely not the best that they could have done. So this is the part of the video where I tell you guys, if you don't like spoilers, stop watching right now. Go out, rent the game, and give it a shot because you won't regret it. But if you're okay with finding out what happens, then stick around. This game is definitely a challenge to play. I had never beaten this game as a kid. My first time beating it was just last year, in an actual live stream with my brother, back when I had less than 50 subs. We streamed this game multiple times, able to get to the end, but always falling apart, with the ending just out of our reach.
No! 2 more hits and it would have been it.
Each level ends with you fighting a boss and collecting a special gem. After you've collected all of the gems, you end up unlocking a bridge toward Gork's hut. You fight your way through what, in my opinion, is the best level in the whole game. The difficulty level is ramped up to the max at this point. There's barely any health pickups, and you can't even look away for a second because the platforming is so precise, and the enemies keep coming at you without giving you time to breathe. If that seems bad enough, then you have to participate in a boss gallery, replaying each boss from every section all over again. And did I mention they don't even give you any health bonuses at all for this section? Not even one. So if you manage to beat the boss gallery, you get to the end of the game. And that's right, you get another round with Gork. Except you guessed it, you don't get any power-ups beforehand. That's right, you have to defeat all of the previous bosses and the final boss without getting game over. That's a much bigger challenge than it sounds like. I won't go into detail on what happens in the final fight, suffice it to say that it was definitely really cool and really challenging. I'll let you fight your way to the end and see what happens for yourself. So what are my final thoughts? Joe and Mac is awesome. After 20 years of playing this game, I'm still just as enthusiastic as I was when I was a kid at that video game store renting it over and over again. But I do have to confess something. Through all the research that I did, I ended up discovering that there's a true ending. I figured out that it has something to do with the flower shop in the town hub, but that's as far as I got. There was nothing online as to how to unlock the final ending, so I guess that's just something that I'm gonna have to leave for you guys to figure out. Joe and Mac is an amazing game, and I highly recommend you play it. If you like beautiful graphics, catchy sound, and an awesome challenge, it's definitely a game for you. So go out and try it. Anyways guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Take care.